welcome to another layout. I am so excited. This turned out so, like, it exceeded my expectations. I have to tell you, I'm loving it. Now, what you're looking at the moment is some chipboard cutouts that were gifted to me from Crafty Divas. I will have a link in the description below so you can see exactly where you can purchase those for yourself. Now, I went over them and I went over them with some gesso. Now, I ended up using my MARTE textured gesso. I ended up using that because I wanted it to have a little bit of grip, and I wanted to try and add a little bit of texture to the chipboard to see if it would work, and it looks fantastic. Now, I'm going over these with Distress Oxide. Let me see. Let me get the names correct. So I'm using Hickory Smoke, and I'm also using a bit of PUMICESTONE and a little bit of Lost Shadow. Now, I'm loving how these come together. This is sped up, okay? I know I always leave in all the good bits, the bad bits, and all that sort of stuff. This particular set that I'm working on right at the moment, you've got to stick around to the end to see what I actually do to fix it. Now, when I say fix it, see how they look like. So the reindeers that I'm working on, that are to my far right, they kind of look like they blended together. I felt like I needed to define them a little bit more. So what I ended up doing, I'm still persisting with that Distress ink, that picket fence. But anyway, I ended up switching it out and I went with some white paint. This is the Aldi white paint that the Creative Place. It's really thick. It's great. I've put it into that little squirty bottle. It gives me more control and it's fantastic. Now, yes, it is a wet medium, so it's going to go over the oxide ink and it's going to oxidize it, and it's going to tone down the brightness of the white, and that's what I wanted. Because if you're looking at reindeers, they have, I mean, these are not obviously real. I mean, I'm just sort of using from pictures and stuff, but they have highlights and lowlights on them, and that's what I wanted to bring to this particular layout. I wanted to actually say to you guys that when I do a layout, sometimes it's about getting the story down. Sometimes it's about just playing with papers for my own mental health. Sometimes it is about seeing how far I can take a product. See what I can create from a raw product. Now, these turned up. They were packaged impeccably. I have received so many things from Melissa at Crafty Divas. I have to tell you, everything that turns up is packed perfectly. Nothing breaks, nothing shifts. It's great. Now, if you look at these deers, the antlers and the reins, they are so fine and so delicate. She does an amazing job. I'm not sure if it's Melissa that cuts them or if it's her husband. I'm not sure, but yeah, they do an amazing job. And I really wanted the Santa in the sky. I wanted that to really come alive. So that's what I'm doing with this layout. Like I said, some layouts, I do them because I want to play with paper. This one, I knew that I wanted to spend the time. This layout took me, from start to finish, it took me about 4 hours. I don't always spend 4 hours on a layout, but I was really enjoying the playing with the colors and the paints and the inks. And, you know, like here, each set of antlers, I'm lightening them more as they go towards the front of the pack. Are they a pack of deers? I don't know. They're not a flock. They're a herd of deers, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no idea. But get it? No idea. I cracked a funny. That was funny. Okay. Sorry, laughing at my own stupid jokes, but that's embarrassing. Okay, so I'm giving them some eyeballs. One of the reindeers, that one I just pointed out, its eyeball looks a bit wonky and it's not ideal. Tried to fix it. Now he looks like he's been bitten by a zombie. The problem I've got, okay, so I'm letting you know, I'm self-taught. So everything that I do with these different mediums, I'm self-taught. So a lot of it is trial and error. The thing that I find with the distress oxides, because they are a water soluble product, you've got to know when to stop with them and know what you're going to put on top of them. Now, I went to my acrylic paints because I wanted my Santa to be that real deep, rich crimson red, and that's the paint I've got sitting there, which is the MARTE Studio acrylic paint. The color is crimson, and it's great. It goes on. It's over the top of the textured gesso, so it's forming another like it's all textural, like it's not just flat shiny brush strokes. So I was really happy with my decision to use that particular gesso. Now what I'm doing here is the Santa sack that's in the back of the I apologize, my dog's barking and my door's open. So what I'm actually doing with this is I've got the red and then I'm just adding a little bit of white to it so that the Santa sack is still red, but it's slightly different. It's creating that highlight and low light situation so that it is more realistic. So that's what I'm doing. This is super simple stuff. I'm just taking my time. Now I am penciling in where I think that Santa's coat would be, where his hat would be, where his boots would be. That is something that you can either go hit and miss with it. You can either go too far under, and this is where I'm sort of sitting back, and what I'm doing is every time I put something on it, I actually move myself back a bit from it, look at it from a distance. Does it look like that's where Santa's arm would be? Does it look like that's where the boots would finish? That's something super important. And if you want to create something like this on your layout, honestly, it is so rewarding when you get to the end of it and it all comes together. So, like I've said, so the Santa, the sack, and the sleigh, it's all the one color. That's the crimson. I don't know how much I paid for it, but I know it's not much. MARTE is extremely affordable paint wise. I am putting it back in the tube. I know I'm such a Scrooge, aren't I? But our supplies cost us money, and at the end of the day, if you can save a couple of dollars here or there, you know, why not? Now, what I just pulled out then was my TCW Light and Fluffy modeling paste. What am I doing with it? I'm adding some white paint to it, and that's going to create my fluffy Santa texture on his gloves and his bits and pieces. Now, I wanted to make the little tails on the deers a little bit brighter. Then I realized it was way too bright. If I had have just used just texture paste, it probably wouldn't have been so bad. So the black paint that I'm using is the stuff that I put in my little squirty bottle a few videos ago. These squirty bottles, don't underestimate them, because I tell you what, I'm finding that I'm reaching for these paints more because they're in a much how do I explain it? Because I've decanted it into that little squirty bottle, one, I'm not wasting as much paint, but two, it's sitting on my desk. I'm able to just grab it and go, yep, that's what I need. That's what I need in this spot. That's going to work in this spot. And I'm finding that like my white paint, it cost me 99 cents. My black paint cost me 99 cents. So it's one of those situations where it doesn't matter that it's a cheap product. If it's something that brings you joy and you're happy to use it, go for it. So now you can see I have added the white to the Santa. I haven't done his face yet. Faces are not my thing. I will be honest, they're not my thing. But to say that I'm super happy with how this turns out in the end, oh, I tell you what, I'm buzzing. I cannot wait for you guys to watch this video. I am now using the MARTE metallic paint, and I'm using the gold, and I am literally slapping it on these straps, bars, reins, and I'm going all the way around. So when you look at it, it doesn't matter what angle you're on, and that's something that makes my chippy pieces a little bit different on my layouts. I have had people say to me, I paint mine and they don't look like that. Paint the edges. Be careful, but paint the edges. When you do that, it just lifts it. You know, like I've never used them, but I am going to order some from, I found a couple of places that have them. They're, who is it? Precious Papers Papercraft. She uses the perspectives a lot, and I think they're from, I'm not sure where they're from. I don't even know. Maybe Crafty Divas actually have the I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look. But now I'm using, this is a pastel. I bought these ages ago. I have never been very good with pastels. Okay, I need to practice and play with them a lot more. To be honest with you, I decided to go back to my one of the mediums I know a lot better, which is the watercolor pencils. These are the Distress Oxide ones. My Santa wasn't right. Now, I'm not even going to take the glory of why Santa come together. That was actually Taylor. She did that. She came in and she's like, oh my God, that looks amazing. And I said, I know, right? It's coming together. And then she said, yeah, but you're Santa. And I said, yeah, it doesn't look right. She goes, yeah, it hasn't got a beard. I'm like, oh, whoops. That's what was wrong. I was so fixated on the face that I forgot about the fact that he needed a beard. So now what I'm doing, guys, this is where I start to focus a little bit more on, see those deers down the bottom? I do a little bit more here, and it was about here somewhere Taylor came in, and I'm like, that's exactly what the problem is. I need to fix his beard, because he doesn't have a beard. And so I'm using my Uniball Signo, why I can never remember these, drives me nuts. See, there you go. I fixed it, and now it totally makes sense. I'm just using my pokey tool, and I'm just lifting bits of that light and fluffy modeling paste up. I'm picking it up and just dropping it down, and bingo, now it looks like Santa. So fantastic. That was Jen saying hi. She came home and she was like so excited. She's looking at it, and I still was stuck. I was really stuck. Those front reindeers didn't look right to me. So I decided to switch it up and move over to my photos for a minute, cut those up. The photos I'm scrapbooking are Angela's first Christmas. So we have a couple, obviously we've got my husband's side of the family, my side of the family, plus we have our full family Christmas, which is all cousins and aunties and uncles and stuff. So I am quite lucky. I get lots and lots of photos, but I don't have snow photos. Now, I'm going to announce this here. I'm doing a, actually I better ask before I say anything, but watch this space, because in December I am going to be lucky enough to be scrapbooking some snow photos. They will not be my children, so watch this space. I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing. So now I am cutting this out. It didn't cut properly. I've been harping on this over on Facebook, and I'm going to start harping it on here. Maintain your gear. So the one bit of advice I could give every single person on the internet right now watching anything to do with scrapbooking, maintenance is key. If you want your products to turn out perfect, maintain them. This mat was not the problem. You look at the mat and you think, oh, it's because there's all that gunk stuck on it. That wasn't the problem. Point is, I have this really annoying habit of dragging a blade in my CRICUT. I drag it out until it just literally can't cut. I don't know why I do that. I've literally got 40 blades sitting there. I don't know why I do that, but I'm just a bit of a Scrooge. So maintain and swap your blades out. It will give you a much better product. Now, this actually is a snow stencil. I've always just used it as a messy spot, but because my photos are actually pink and white, I thought this actually could work. I could probably make it look a bit snowy and get away with it. So as you can see, I do not maintain my stencils remarkably well. This particular one doesn't faze me that it looks like this because it's a messy splotch anyway, so it's fine. But if you're using texture paste of any description, do yourself a favor, clean it right away. Do not waste a single minute because it will ruin your stencil. So that is my snowy textured background. And I know I do a lot of layouts. I love making backgrounds. So as much as I use papers, I also love using, just plain backgrounds and building them up myself. So if that's something that you think you would be interested in, this is where I am toying with why this reindeer doesn't look right. And it's at this point that I go, hang on a minute. This reindeer needs some definition because they're both blending together. So this is what I do to solve it. I just come in with a bit of darker ink, and it's the Hickory Smoke, and I'm just adding some lowlights and highlights. I'm not reinventing the wheel, but can you see now by making the rear end of the deer in the front, so it's in the background, I've made it drop to the background. So the other deer is lighter and it's in the foreground. That's what was wrong with the cut file. That's with the cut file, the chipboard piece. So it totally came together once I did that. Now I left that eyeball that I wasn't happy with until it completely dried, because I'm dealing with acrylic. If you let it completely dry, you can just scratch it off and it's not a problem. But if you try and wipe it while it's wet, no go. It's going to smudge everywhere. It's going to be stuck on there. It's going to ruin your whole thing. So do it like that. Can you see now that my reindeers are actually separate? They're not all together. I hope that makes sense. I hope it makes sense to you, because it does make sense to me. If you want to see the close-up photos and you want to look at the still photos, maybe you order some of these and you want to color them the way I did. And you know this video is sped up, but if you click on the little cog down the bottom, you can actually play it back at the speed you want it to be played back at. You can slow this right down to real time. So obviously it will extend out and you will, it will be longer. But for all my new subscribers, I leave in everything so you've got the flexibility to do that with my videos. You can speed them up faster or you can slow them down. and that way you can sit there step by step and see how I'm adding a little bit and then I'm sitting back, adding a little bit more and sitting back. That makes all the difference, especially if you're trying to make something sort of more realistic like this. Now, I know that my first Christmas is very light and it's very pale. I went with spun sugar and lumberjack plaid for my blend. I've done a 0.97 offset on my CRICUT, and I've lined my photos up down the bottom, and it's at this point that I'm like, you know what, it just needs a border. So I erred on the side of caution because you can completely ruin it. Sorry, that was my daughter messaging me. I apologize. She's messaging me. I'm going to mute it on there. We've got a huge Optus outage here in Australia at the moment, and a huge telecommunications company has gone down, and that is who I have my internet with. So I will be voiceovering these but not loading them up to YouTube until a further date. So here it is close up. I just did put a little bit of NUVO Glacier paste in Winter White on my Santy because I thought he needed a bit of glitter and shimmer. There it is up close. Doesn't it look awesome? I think it looks fantastic. I love it so much. And thank you so much, Melissa from Crafty Divas. Thank you so much for giving this to me and gifting it to me, allowing me to create a design with it, and it is fantastic. I truly do appreciate it. If you haven't already liked, subscribed, or left me a comment, I would sincerely appreciate it. Not to mention, I have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description if you'd like to try Buy Me a Coffee to help support my channel. Thank you so much, guys. I'll chat to you later. Bye for now.